We start where we left off at the end of the last epi, as that naughty master fella with the wacky smiley helmet, aka Smilo Ren, is somehow able to disrupt saber blades and tears through some nameless red shirts in increasingly brutal ways, including turning two poor sods into Jedi shish kebabs.
I don't support universal fun. That's gotta hurt.
And after Osha intervenes to stop Yord getting himself yeeted, she soon finds herself chased through the woods, and also almost decapitated by sodding lightsabers flying around left, right and centre. But luckily, Master Soul is there to deflect it into deforesting innocent trees and stuff. And before he can say, shit, we better get out of here before Greenpeace turn up and give us a right bollocking, we super abruptly cut mid-scene to the opening title card, where Osha tells an injured Yord to stop making her run back to the ship like a riot cuck, because that helmet head's going to totally yeet Master Soul if we don't go and back him up. But Yord just says sod that, because he's almost a pensioner now and has totally lived his life anyway, and we've got all of ours ahead of us still. And besides, he gave me an order to evacuate you, given you're just a random ship engineer and a useless civilian. So get your butt moving and shut up about it already. Meanwhile, said soul fella and the naughty baddie promptly engage in sabery violence, as do Jackie and May after the Jedi girl tries to arrest the naughty twin whilst hilariously trying to read her Miranda rights for killing a bunch of peeps. Before May tries to kill Jackie and all, and before she can say, careful or I'll have to arrest you for my murder too, she finally gets her in cuffs. But poor Jackie's soon sneak attacked by Smilo, and not even two lightsabers can save her from getting her arse handed to her. Elsewhere, Yord and Osha find themselves in a foggy wood whilst trying to run away like a right pair of pussy old melts, when Osha suddenly warns a Jedi bloke to think of Margaret Thatcher and shrink his stiffy stick already, because she's worried that the light will totally attract those big bug beasties what attacked them last epi. Meanwhile, Master Helmet Head gets totally bored of beating up small white girls and now instead goes after the small chocolate ones, as he tries to yeet his own Acolyte after May decided she was going to betray him to Kalnaka earlier that evening. And it looks like it's curtains for the angry black lady what loves beating up innocent Asians.
Hate crime!
But luckily, said innocent Asian and also Jackie turn up just in the nick of time to save her ass. But alas, Jackie soon pays a price for knocking off the baddie's helmet and revealing his identity, as Jackie's shanked with more stab wounds than an innocent Englishman on his way to work. And in a shocking twist, what no one could ever see coming, turns out Smilo Ren was really the lovable Asian scoundrel who was the only character shown to be on the planet yet missing from the final battle scene at the end of the last epi, all along.
No way!
Yes, way. And on a side note, I heard Critical Drinker refer to him as Budget Ezra Miller in his video, which I can't really see myself except for the long hair. Though they both like grooming young girls and even strangling small women, I suppose. Anyway, after May turns back up and gets instantly captured and held hostage, Kymir says he just wants to be himself and be totally free, bro. And may as well just identify as a current day Democrat, given he just wants to be free to do a bunch of bad things with zero consequence. Oh, and he also wants an Acolyte Padawan pupil of his own to train up. But now that they've seen his face, he has to kill the whole bloody lot of them, given the Jedi would jail him if they found out about him doing all these bad things. Suddenly, though, Yord arrives to smack a bitch up. And before he can say,
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
This Yord fella just can't believe the source of all their trouble and the guy who just killed his Padawan was the scrawny Asian chemist back in episode 2. Nor can he believe this guy's sudden strength when he starts stabbing necks like some Snyderverse reject, because poor Yord had his whole life ahead of him and stuff. And poor Sol, who's had to watch all of his friends die all around him all night, soon starts smacking up the only other Asian on the planet, as Osha stuns a fleeing May, and then returns to stop an enraged Sol from giving in to the dark side to finally end the series there and then, by totally killing their killer mortal enemy. And after ominously warning about how she shouldn't trust this guy, who was there when her village burned down years ago, and who also creepily keeps a hologram of her younger self in his pocket, he goes to restart the beef. But a quick thinking Osha slaps poor Pip the droid on his back, and then sets the mutant bugs on the twat, which promptly fly off with him like he's a discarded sandwich crust or some shit. And it looks like it's curtains for the badass bloke what easily killed 8 Jedi Knights but gets kidnapped and flown away by a bunch of bugs. And before you can say, if they're indeed attracted by light, why didn't they turn up during all the recent lightsaber battles then? We cut back to Osha, who naturally worries that the lying bad guy who spent the past few episodes lying to and deceiving them all might just for once be telling the truth this time, and maybe Master Soul is indeed hiding something from her. But before he can once again try to explain, May wakes up and stuns her ass, and finally comes face to face with her long lost sister twin again, and is clearly much better with her aim than her long lost sister twin. Also naturally, May totally bollocks Osha for going off and rejoining the Jedi after they destroyed their home years ago. But she just says that's bleeding rich coming from a bona fide murderer killer what also set the fire that killed their entire village in the first place. And thinking she's just been brainwashed by the Jedi, May gives her a deep hug like they've still got a close bond, whilst totally professing her familial love for her. And before you can say, hang on, last time she saw you she was sticking a gat in your face, and the last time before that you tried to horrifically burn a murderer in a fire, Osha says screw that, and promptly tries to arrest her Sith for becoming an assassin and harassing a bunch of white peeps just minding their own business. But unfortunately, she gets herself knocked out cold, whilst her sibling gives herself an impromptu haircut and totally swaps places with her. And while she reunites with an unsuspecting Master Soul and escorts him back to the ship, Kymir fixes up his toothy helmet and encounters a still unconscious Osha, as the 5th episode ends with almost all of the Jedi's dead and their bodies strewn all over the ravaged woodlands. Gah! So much for being a time of relative peace. And that's it. That's the epi. Though my favourite part was when even the baddie was surprised at how stupid this show's characters are and how not one fucker guessed his identity.
You really didn't know it was me. Not even deep down?
And also seeing how ice cold this Jason from The Good Place fella is.
Check.
Was that its name?
She was a child.
You brought her here.
Oh, that's cold.
But anyway, on to episode 6. We start with a kind of sort of kidnapped Osha, waking up alone on some island lair. And after the opening title card, Master Soul tries to phone home on an emergency frequency to tell his boss that all his mates are dead and that he was so bad at his job that he was only saved from certain death by a quick thinking girl stopping a serial killer by sending a load of mutant bugs after him. Or some shit. As elsewhere, an undercover May, who's pretending to be her goody two-shoes sibling Osha, tries to find the right time to yeet that Asian fella what keeps whining about survivor's guilt, whilst the real May sneaks up on a male Asian master of her own when Kymir goes for a morning swim and she ends up nicking his lightsaber for shits and giggles. But she can't bring herself to kill the naughty murderer killer, given actor Manny Jacinto is carrying the whole show on his back, and also due to it being against the Jedi code to attack unarmed peeps. Though I imagine by the look on her face, he's probably not that defenceless at all, and is likely wielding a decent-sized sword of his own down there. Anyway, so after he puts his clobber back on and totally puts his cock away, he tells her to chill, bro, because Master Soul and your sis are totally fine, and I didn't harm them like I did that Jackie Bird or the soy boy fella with the terrible haircut, so put your raging lady boner away and shut up about it already. Meanwhile, back on the ship, Soul hugs the crap out of his kind of sort of ex-Padawan, given she saved his life last epi, and says it's time to face the High Council and totally make things right, mainly by confessing to doing a bunch of vague yet mysterious bad things years ago.
Okay.
Elsewhere, over on Coruscant, Baldy Greenbird Venestra Rowe is informed by a homosexual white soy boy called Mog that Soul was just on the blower and said that his entire team's been wiped out, yo, and he's rather suspiciously the last man standing. Whilst Osha and Kymir soon start growing closer. Cause as if gratuitous nudity wasn't enough, he now begins further seducing her to the dark side with undeniable logic in a bowl of soup. Cause turns out he used to be a Jedi himself years ago. Well, till his old master threw him out like yesterday's turd, and also whipped him on the back like a little bitch or some shit. So he totally wants sweet, sweet vengeance, bro. Meanwhile, Master Soul is still whining on about how stupid he was to not have sensed the other agent's true intentions when they first met on Olega in episode 2. Because he should have known he weren't no proper chemist, given he's a bit young to be a trained pharmacist, and also he was helping May poison his ex-colleagues, so he's clearly in the business of harming people rather than helping them and stuff. But May says, don't sweat it, bro, because he fooled us all. So stop having a gay little meltdown like a right drama queen, and get over it already. And speaking of being fooled, he suddenly wakes up and realises she's totally playing him by playing her pussy old sister, and soon stuns a poor broad when her back is turned. And whilst Vanestra and co investigate the fallout of the utter clusterfuck on Kothar, given there's corpses strewn all over the place, and soon worry that the only survivor, Master Soul, might have in fact been the one what did all the killings, Kymir reveals how his armour and helmet is made out of a rare substance called cortosis, which is how he was able to disrupt lightsaber blades last epi, and also shield his mind from the Jedi's force powers. And then invites her to try his gear on, because she's clearly a fan of cosplay, given she dressed up as her own twin that one time back when they first met in the local chemist in the second epi. Was Sam shit? And before you can say, last time I was invited to try on a man's shiny helmet, I was told I was going against nature and promptly exiled from my local church. We cut back to Soul Ship, where May wakes up chained to a table and made to listen to an old man's guilt-ridden ramblings, as Osha indeed puts on that serial killer special Magneto hat, and starts making deep breathy sounds like Darth Vader back in the day, and thereby potentially signifying her turn to the dark side. Or maybe it's just her asthma playing up. Anyway, that's it. That's episode 6. Though my favourite part was when a robot spat in May's face, and she then coldly murdered its ass by restoring it to factory settings.
Damn!
But anyway, that's the plot and that's a lot. Considering that bell thing, so you don't miss the roast of the last 2 epis when they drop. Tell me if you like this show in the comments, if you have time, and I'll potentially turn to the dark side with you in the next one.